Hi, my name is Heather Smith, and I'm talking with accountants and bookkeepers from all over the world about how they've defined receipt bank preference settings. I'm asking them their thought process behind the preference settings they chose. In this video, I'm speaking with Crawford Errington from New Zealand.
Hi there, thank you so much for doing this video with us. Can I ask you to share with our viewers your name and the business that you're from?
So my name's Crawford Errington and I am from OnTrack Bookkeeping in New Zealand.
Excellent. And can I ask you, how many clients do you have on Receipt Bank?
I don't know the exact answer, but something along the lines of 25 to 30 at this stage.
And what do you see are the benefits of using Receipt Bank with your clients?
The benefits are huge. Source documentation, gosh, how hard is that to get out of people, right? So setting them up on Receipt Bank, giving them the tools to forward emails to Receipt Bank, take photos of receipts and provide information to us via that platform is just been a huge shift in our business, time-wise.
Excellent. So how much time do you think it's actually using Receipt Bank is saving you?
Oh, wow. Hours. Hours and hours of time and energy trawling through invoices. I guess because Receipt Bank actually extracts the data for you, that's where a lot of the time comes in. So when you're reconciling transactions, say in the bank, you're not having to trawl through and find an invoice to find out what it was to be able to code it. Like Receipt Bank does all of that for you. So seriously saves us hours.
Excellent. And can you, what do you do with that extra time that it's saving you?
We work with more clients.
Sensational. So it's it's helping you grow your business and take on more clients.
Yep.
Excellent.
Excellent.
Excellent. Thank you so much for sharing that with our viewers.
No problem.
So today what we're doing is looking at your account settings and asking you why you have set up Receipt Bank the way you have. So we're looking at general and we're looking at the system settings. So in the first block there we have payment status. And the payment status for receipts, they're being treated as paid. For invoices, they're being treated as not paid, and for credit notes, they're being treated as not paid. What was your thought process behind that?
Okay, so generally when we receive a receipt is a paid document. So you only get a receipt when something's been paid. So when we go to process that via Receipt Bank, we want to show that that has been paid already. It's not an outstanding bill, which is what the invoices and credit notes showing as not paid relate to. So
excellent. So then if we drop to the next box down, we have due dates for invoices, and you're defaulting to a number of days after the invoice date, and the number of days you've chosen is 20. What was your thought process behind this?
So in New Zealand, this is, I guess, kind of a standard payment terms for most people who bill on credit terms. Unless you're like me, of course, which mine is 7 days after invoice date. I'm not sure where that came from originally and the reasoning behind it, but it's a very old school thinking. But a lot of companies still use those terms of trade. So that's the reasoning behind the default terms of trade being set at that point in our system, because that's when most invoices come through with a default date.
I think that's going to be really interesting for global users because I've never seen that date before in all of my years.
Really? Yeah, it's right throughout New Zealand, and like I say, very old school. So it was always due, if you had an invoice in May, any time in May, it was due on the 20th of June.
Excellent, excellent. And so then the next one down, the next block down, you've got, it's called net amount. Choose whether to show the net amount on downloadable CSVs, and you've got that set as off for showing the net amount. What was your thought process behind that?
Okay, well, we don't do downloadable CSVs, so for us it's irrelevant.
Okay, fair enough.
So I've just ignored that one.
Excellent.
To be honest.
No worries, no worries. Next one down, we've got categorization, and you've got auto categorization on, including new suppliers on, category display code and name, category sort code. What was your thought process behind that?
So the auto-categorisation is on so that a default category gets attached to a transaction that doesn't have a supplier level category attached to it. And basically what happens in our receipt bank is that will end up in general expenses as a catch-all code, I suppose.
Ah, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Yes.
And include new suppliers, obviously, includes new suppliers in that too. So unless we've been into the supplier and made the change at that level.
Ah, okay, excellent. Thank you for sharing that.
No
The
problem.
next block down is archiving. And so for published, you have yes. For exported to CSV, which you don't use, you've got no. Added to an ER, which is an expense report, you've got yes. And then exported to PDF, you've got no. What was your thought process behind that?
So when we've published an item in Receipt Bank, we've dealt with it.
Yes.
So we want to archive. We don't want it showing again that it still needs to be dealt with. I'm a big believer in dealing with something once and then moving on. We don't export to CSV or PDF.
Yes.
Hence the reason those are both set to no, because it's actually not something we do anyway. And same with added to an expense report.
Yeah.
Actually, we don't do expense reports anyway, so.
Oh, that's interesting.
There we go.
That's interesting. Can I get you to scroll to the top of the screen, please?
Certainly.
And then click on Integration tab on the left-hand side. Many thanks for that.
No problem.
So now we're looking at your integration settings, and you're set up to integrate here with Xero. You have the setting, let's go through it. You've got publish multiple currencies turned on, default publish to destination going to purchases, publish items to purchases as draft, publish expense reports to purchases as draft. What was your thought process behind this?
So the thought process around this, obviously multiple currencies is quite self-explanatory.
Yes.
Depends on where the invoices come from. As we do some global work, then that's relevant for us. Default publish destination to purchases, so that's just our default where they go into the purchases area as a draft bill. And the reasoning around that is we auto-categorise and auto-publish most of our invoices within Receipt Bank.
Yes.
So any checking or readjusting of an invoice generally gets done in Xero as opposed to Receipt Bank itself.
Oh, okay.
So my ideal is that I don't even need to log into Receipt Bank.
That's interesting.
Yeah, everything gets set up to auto-code and auto-push through to Xero, and I push it through as a draft invoice just purely as a checking process with regards to what's come through and whether it is actually in the right place or not. So if it's a general expense code, then obviously I'll be looking at making some changes around that particular code, depending on who the supplier is. So.
Excellent. So you set up Receipt Bank and then you just let it go. You just stay away from it. You've set and forget it. How wonderful to have sort of technology like that.
I know. Awesome.
That you kind of, once you actually have it, you can't imagine life without it, can you?
I know.
Can you
Absolutely
imagine
not.
like when someone calls you into their office and they go data entry and you're like,
what?
Oh, what is this evil you talk of?
Absolutely. I know it feels a little bit like that. So every client we work with is slightly different. This is obviously for my own business. This is how I've set this one up. Generally with our clients I would do it slightly differently. But yeah, it's for me personally, I'm well aware of what's been spent by the business and what it relates to. So there's not a lot of checking that I need to do on anything.
Yeah.
Any new suppliers that haven't been auto-published through, I can deal with on my phone app, and away we go. So it's nice and simple.
Excellent. So the next block down is tax settings, and you have publishing tax data to purchasers, allow Xero to calculate, use tax lists on, use supplier tax rates on. Can you explain your thought process behind that?
So when we set up the supplier information within Receipt Bank, obviously some suppliers are GST registered and some aren't. So we are, in New Zealand, we only have one GST rate, basically, which is 15%. So you either are or you aren't GST registered.
Oh, okay.
Which is quite different, I understand, to Australia and potentially global.
Yeah, no, it is interesting. So we spoke with a gentleman from Hong Kong, and they actually don't even have GST or VAT. Yeah. So yes, everyone seems to be slightly different.
Yeah. So so in that respect, it's quite a simple yes or no for us, unless there's some exporting scenarios. But basically, it's yes or no. Yes. So for us, the tax list being on basically means we can attach those tax rates to our suppliers based on whether the supplier is GST registered or not.
Excellent.
And then it feeds through to Xero with the correct information, obviously.
Thank you very much for sharing that with us. Can I get you to scroll further down the screen there? Okay, so the final block on this section is called Automatic Publishing, and you have this switch to off. What was your thought process behind that?
So what I have done here is set the auto publishing per supplier on a supplier basis.
Yes.
As opposed to global basis.
Yes. Within
Xero. So I obviously don't want things like so there's certain things that come through that get sent through to Receipt Bank that we don't necessarily want ending up in Xero. So I tend to be quite specific about what automatically feeds through and then what else needs to be dealt with around what's left.
Excellent.
So,
thank you for sharing that with us. Can I get you to scroll up the screen and click on My Details and scroll down the screen? So can I ask you about the last block here, which is notification email settings? Which emails would you like to receive and how often? Frequency instant. However, you actually have them all turned off.
That's right.
What was your thought process behind turning all of your email settings off?
Oh my gosh, I receive, 100 or something emails a day. The last thing I need is notification that I've had a receipt that's been published in my Xero account. I don't want to know.
Very good. So absolutely relying on Receipt Bank there and turning off all notifications. That makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. If I need to, when I do my accounts, I can pop into Receipt Bank and see if there's anything I need to deal with quite easily. I don't need to be notified via email at all about what's been published and what's been processed and where it's gone. So,
excellent. Thank you so much, Di, for spending time with us and sharing your preference settings in Receipt Bank with us today. How can our viewers get in touch with you?
With me, they can get in touch with me via email, which is di@ontrackbookkeeping.co.nz, di, via our website, www.ontrackbookkeeping.co.nz, or via my Facebook page, again, OnTrack Bookkeeping on Facebook.
Thank you so much. That was awesome.
You're welcome. No problem.